Did Trump get played by Iran? For weeks, that question dominated crisis coverage. Television anchors debated Trump's next move. News headlines focused on looming escalation. Military analysts discussed possible strike scenarios. Deadlines appeared across major news outlets. The White House issued repeated warnings. Iran refused to back down. Negotiations continued behind closed doors. Many observers expected military action. Those questions lead to the heart of the story. Because the real issue may not be whether Trump got played. The real issue may be whether everyone asked the wrong question. Trump announced deadlines. Iran resisted demands. Not necessarily war. Public reporting suggested exactly this pattern. Deadlines, military planning, pressure campaigns, negotiations, warnings, diplomatic outreach, all occurring simultaneously. And Iran was only part of the picture. And that future had a name: the Abraham Accords. Many people remember the Abraham Accords as diplomatic agreements, regional normalization. But strategically, they represented something larger: an idea, a vision for regional order, a network of cooperating states. States aligned more closely with the United States. States willing to work with Israel. From this perspective, Iran represented more than a negotiating partner. Iran represented the central challenge, a challenge that could justify closer cooperation. Their financial sectors depend on predictability. Their airlines depend on safe airspace. Their logistics networks depend on regional calm. A larger conflict threatened all of it, because those warnings changed the equation. On one level, they constrained Trump. Regional partners feared escalation. Military action became more expensive politically. Iran remains dangerous. Iran remains relevant. Iran remains capable of creating disruption. Every warning reinforced that perception. And that perception had consequences. Because if Iran remained a serious threat, the Gulf states still needed security. They still needed deterrence. They still needed American involvement. The same fear limiting Trump's options may also have strengthened his argument. The argument for deeper regional cooperation. The argument for stronger alignment. The argument for a broader coalition. The argument behind the Abraham Accords. What initially looked like lost leverage may have revealed a different form of leverage, because every request for restraint contained an admission, and confidence can be fragile, especially during crises. Even without actual attacks, costs can appear. Shipping firms can alter routes. Insurance companies can raise premiums. Investors can postpone decisions. Governments can redirect resources. Businesses can delay expansion. Financial markets can price in uncertainty. Sometimes anticipation creates consequences before events even occur. That is what made Iran's strategy effective. Not because Iran could destroy the Gulf, because Iran could make the Gulf nervous. And nervousness has economic value. Those warnings narrowed options. Military superiority became harder to translate into action. Dependence, a dependence on security, a dependence on deterrence, a dependence on regional stability, and ultimately, a dependence on American involvement. Every warning reinforced one reality. The Gulf states still viewed Iran as dangerous, still viewed Iran as capable, still viewed Iran as influential, still viewed Iran as a strategic threat. And if Iran remained a strategic threat, the need for coordination remained. The need for partnerships remained. The need for deterrence remained. The need for alignment remained. Suddenly, the conversation looked different. No longer focused only on military strikes, no longer focused only on negotiations, now focused on regional architecture, regional cooperation, regional security, regional alignment. From Trump's perspective, that realization mattered. For many people, the Abraham Accords were diplomatic events, ceremonial signings. What looked like a military standoff starts looking like a diplomatic opportunity. The more Gulf governments worried about retaliation, the stronger the case became for cooperation. The more leaders feared instability, fear began producing political consequences, not just military calculations. This does not mean every government embraced Trump's vision. The evidence does not support that conclusion. Some countries remained cautious. Some governments remained reluctant. Some leaders resisted aspects of normalization. Different states maintained different priorities. Different governments faced different pressures. Regional politics remained complex, but that complexity is not the central point. The important point is larger. The Iran crisis stopped being only about Iran. Resistance to external pressure. This narrative became part of Iran's regional identity, part of its political legitimacy, part of its diplomatic messaging, part of its influence strategy. Support for the Palestinian cause played an important role. Regional resistance became a central theme. Opposition to Western influence became another. These narratives helped Tehran explain its position, helped justify its policies, helped differentiate Iran from governments aligned with Washington. This is where the Abraham Accords become strategically important, because normalization changes the conversation. Imagine increasing numbers of Arab states cooperating openly with Israel. Joint meetings, joint projects, diplomatic exchanges, economic partnerships. Iran retained influence. Iran retained capabilities. Iran retained relevance. That matters. The opposing side normally suffers a clear defeat, a major concession, a dramatic loss. Iran remained fully in the game. There is also the problem of constraints. The same Gulf pressure that may have helped Trump also restricted him. Regional allies expressed concern. Economic risks increased. Political risks increased. Military risks increased. Every warning narrowed available options. Every new goal introduces new obstacles. Every additional objective creates new risks. Every added complication increases uncertainty. Critics argue this may have happened here, and that argument deserves consideration, because the claim that Trump was outmaneuvered cannot simply be dismissed. It identifies something real. Trump possessed enormous power, yet markets influence decisions across continents. Every actor possessed strengths. Every actor possessed weaknesses. Every actor possessed leverage over someone else. The result was not a hierarchy. The result was a web of pressure, a web of incentives. No actor controlled every variable. No actor enjoyed unlimited freedom. This helps explain why outcomes appear ambiguous, why negotiations produce mixed results, why powerful countries sometimes compromise, why weaker countries sometimes succeed, why leverage matters, why perception matters, why geography matters, why fear matters. Power does not operate in a vacuum. Power operates inside systems. In the short term, Iran succeeded in making escalation expensive. The risks increased. The hesitation increased. Iran demonstrated leverage. In the longer term, that same pressure may have strengthened arguments for coordination, strengthened arguments for alignment, strengthened arguments for deeper partnerships, strengthened arguments for a regional coalition, the very outcome Iran hoped to avoid. That is the paradox at the center of this entire story. But that same fear may have strengthened the case for regional alignment. The strategy succeeded and partially backfired at the same time. The final lesson is not that Trump was a genius, nor that Iran completely outplayed him, not as a straight line, but as a web connecting military strength, geography, energy, economics, alliances, markets, perceptions, fear, and political incentives. A world where strength alone is not enough. A world where vulnerability creates leverage. A world where every actor influences every other actor. And a world where the most important question is not always who is stronger. Sometimes the more important question is who can turn fear into leverage, and who discovers too late that leverage cuts both ways.